Good morning to all my dear friends on the right, on the left, those that voted for Kamala, those that voted for Trump, those that voted for third party or didn't vote at all. We're all waking up to a new reality this morning. And the question is, what message could we take? I wanted to share something from the portion, and then I wanted to give you my personal thoughts on some of the lessons we could learn immediately, at least from the purview of where I see it. This week's Torah portion, we read about the first Jew, Abraham. Abraham charted a new way. Abraham is called Abraham the Hebrew because he stood on one side and everyone else stood on the other side. And in this week's Torah portion, God gives him his name. And his name changes from Avram to Avraham, from Abraham to Abraham. And the Torah says why? Because God tells Abraham that now you won't just be the leader of Aram, which was the city you were in, but you will become the leader of many, many nations. That's Abraham's greatest strength. If you think about it, 6 billion people trace their lineage to Abraham. Jews, Muslims, Christians who believe in the Bible and trace their lineage to Abraham. And Abraham, the first Jew who charted the course and taught the world about monotheism and God, had many children with such diverse views. But yet, the prayer and the name that God gives him is that you should be the father of many nations. Don't just see yourself as a person for your own small family, but see beyond and see the larger. Yes, Abraham, in order to be the father of many nations, you first have to be the father of your own family. But you have to see beyond it. I know that many people are sad today. Many people are happy today. First, I want to give a word of caution. And remember this very carefully. You're going to come into your synagogues, to your shuls, to your Shabbos dinners, and you're going to see people that might have voted differently than you and are feeling hurt. Don't gloat. Remember one thing, that there are so many good people on both sides. If you think about so many Democrats and prayed for Israel and yet had a different view than you, don't see things as absolute and don't think that your way is the only way. Be humble, be gracious, pray for the country, pray for unity, pray for people to come together, and pray that God gives the wisdom to the President-elect Donald Trump to come towards a middle, and yes, to bring people together and not to divide them. And I know it's so hard for some people to see that, but that's what we have to pray for at this point. But I will say this, and I think this is critical. 2 things that really triggered me this election, which I think as we start looking back and learn lessons, is something we should think about. Firstly, the Democrats have to think about how much they catered towards the Hamas and Hezbollah sympathizers. It wasn't often that we heard Kamala or President Biden speak out against people who were terrorizing Jews in the streets of New York, in the college campuses, in front of restaurants, in all these other places. And yet, instead of unequivocally remembering that 80% of America supports Israel, we cater to the extremes. And that happens on both sides sometimes. But I think it behooves us to remember that most of America chooses good over evil. Most of America supports Israel. Most of America doesn't want people demonstrating and targeting Jewish restaurants, Jewish homes, Jewish shuls and schools and community centers. And if we don't speak up loudly, and if we don't do everything within our power to stop it, then we've become part of the problem. And the second thing I'll say is like this. Using the word Hitler and Nazi lightly is a trigger and an offense to millions of Jews and beyond who were victims of Hitler and the Nazis. It's something that really rubs the wrong way and is a cheap shot don't call people Hitler when they're not. And don't call people Hitler just for the sake of gaining points. And this goes to everyone. There is no question that you could disagree vehemently and you can have the strongest things to say about someone, but to call someone Hitler or a Nazi is shaming the 6 million Jews that were put into the gas chambers. And I think those are two things that we have to remember. And most importantly, let us take strength and courage from Abraham, from the father of all people, Christians, Muslims, and Jews. Let us pray that sooner than later there will be an end to the war in Gaza and Lebanon, and Iran, the Ayatollahs will fall, and we will get new leadership. Let us pray that we will come together at some point, because there's so much more we agree on than we don't agree. And last important thing, don't taunt. Wherever side you're on, be respectful, be sensitive, understand that people might be in pain or people might be happy, but gloating is never a good way. May Hashem bless us, Barcheinu Avinu Kalanu Ke'echad, to bless us to be together. May Israel have decisive victory. May all those who terrorize Jews on visas be expelled from this country. May colleges who don't fight anti-Semitism lose their title funds. And let us be unequivocal in our fighting anti-Semitism. God bless you. Have a good